So welcome to this second webinar of the EU Cities Gateway program. My name is Dorothy Fischer and I'm the Senior Communications Expert of the program, together with my colleagues Colin Maddock, who is the team leader, and also Alex Hu, who's in the background. She's the back office. She's also here to assist us today with the technical part. We also have, I think, some of our other colleagues here. Susanna is here, who is currently in a double role because she's still with the IUC North America program, but she's also joined us for a few days and will be assisting us more in the future on the North American side. So yes, we're really happy that we got so much interest in these two calls that are still open at the moment. So one is for the European cities and one is for the cities from North America. The deadline is 31st of August. And the reason why we're here today is we really want to inform you of all the, let's say, how you can apply. We want to answer all your questions around these two calls. And so we're going to take an hour, a bit more if needed, to clarify all your doubts in this direction. We've foreseen a presentation by Colin with the most important aspects of the two calls. And I just wanted to start as a bit of a icebreaker, and also why still some of the participants are still flying in. I wanted to show you a video of the previous program, the IUC North America one, because it gives you a bit of a feeling. What are these like transatlantic city-to-sea cooperation activities like? I'm going to share my screen for that. We had a test beforehand and we realized it's better that I don't put, just a second, I don't put on full screen with YouTube because sometimes there's a delay in the audio. So I will just share it in a smaller screen, but I think you can still see it quite well. So here we go. I'm just going to start with this video to get a glimpse of the past activities that we will continue with EU Cities Gateway.
Well, IURC has clearly been a massive success. What I got from the IURC was the fact that we share so many ideas and best practices with so many people from around the world, not just different cities, not just different states, but different countries around the world. And so effective and refreshing to know that we have some of the same issues in my city that someone on the other side of the planet has. And we may have different ways to address them.
Some of the major learnings that we had from our collaboration with the Barcelona metropolitan area and with the Northern Virginia Regional Commission is how many challenges we shared around climate resilience in different ways. But I think we all really had real challenges around urban heat and around how you adapt your road system as well as built environment to resist urban heat. And obviously Barcelona has many years of experience, and for us as climate change deepens and worsens, we're going to be experiencing more heat waves and longer periods of heat.
IRC is a great opportunity to exchange with other cities from around the world about the topics like green urban transition.
So we have programs around solar energy, around energy efficiency, which we have shared at previous conferences that IURC has put on. And we also have learned about, doing better job at mapping heat impacts in our urban core. It's really important to understand where there is excessive heat and how we can take actions to reduce it.
So this was the first time that the city of Braga participates in this program, but it's been very rewarding for us, not only for the sharing practice that we did with our partners, St. John from Canada, but also the other events that IRC organized and our city officials participated. Regarding the sharing of best practices, I would highlight two. One was this urban farm model that we learned from St. John's, and now we are applicating in our region, north of Portugal and Galicia, Spain. And the other one is that we are sharing with our friends from St. John's the social innovation strategy that we have.
It's really exposed us to what is in the realm of the possibility, and also allows us to share back with the world about what we are doing in sustainable practices.
All right, oops, just stop. So yeah, coming back, hello again to all those people who joined a little bit later. And maybe just as a final announcement, there's still a few Dorothy Fishers in the room, which is my fault because I sent you my personalized link instead of the general link. If you could please rename yourself, because for us, it's also important to know who's actually been attending the webinars and which cities are present, and also to see then for the follow-up of the application. So you can just click on the right-hand side of your box, and there you have the function rename, and it would be great if you could still do that. So without much further ado, I think I can hand over to our team leader, Colin, who will present to you the most important aspects of the open call, and Alex will share the screen with the presentation.
Hello. Hi, welcome everyone. It's great to see so many people. I've had the opportunity to be able to talk to many of you over the last couple of months. I hope you hear me well. If there is any problems and you're not hearing me well, please let me know. But let's get started. I don't see the screen just yet. Are you seeing the screen? Okay.
Yes, I can see it actually. We can see it.
Okay, super duper. So the biggest question we've got right now is what is the European Union's the European Union Cities Gateway Program, North American program? The EU Cities Gateway is a European Union funded program running from 2025, from now, until 2028 that promotes structured cooperation between cities and regions in the European Union, the United States, and in Canada to address shared urban and regional challenges. Now, this is a basic a type of program which the European Union has implemented over the last 10 years, the last decade, and through different incarnations such as the World Cities Program, the IURC, the International Urban and Regional Cooperation Program, and the International City Partnership Program over the last 10 years. It builds on the successes of these programs. And also the Global Covenant of Mayors, which has been very active in North America since 2016. The program itself it has a few, I guess, intents to promote urban innovation aligned with the European Union Green Deal, to support peer-to-peer exchanges between cities, regions on green, digital, and social inclusion challenges, to strengthen transatlantic networks and partnerships, provide experience, expertise, knowledge platforms, and pilot activities, and empower local leadership in the transition to climate neutral and smart cities. Next slide, please. Now, for those of you who have been involved in the IURC or other international, or I guess EU financed programs in the past, this program will be a little bit different. In the past, the process has really been to be able to have an open call, and then based on a selection procedure to be able to immediately place these cities in a pairing. We do things a little bit different here, and we have our entry points as the 4 thematic clusters that we'll use and focus on in the implementation of the program. These 4 thematic areas, I think, as many of you know already, are nature-based solutions, which is a focus on the adaptation framework, circular economy, digitalization and urban innovation, and finally, affordable and attainable housing and innovative living spaces. And these 4, and the selection of these 4 clusters is based on an extensive outreach program, I think, which many of you have been involved in, to be able to gain these practical feedback as to which clusters, which areas would you be interested in participating. So we tried to be able to design and focus these entry points into the EUCG program based on what you need and what your thoughts were. Next slide. So how does it work? So we have 3 basic parts of this program that we'll be focusing on right now in the next few months. First of all, the open call for cities that we're and regions that we're currently working through right now. I hope that you all know the portals and the EU survey portals that you'll use to be able to submit your application. If you have any issue with respect to that, please contact us immediately, and we'll support you and help you in any way we can. For EU cities, the link is here under the IURC platform, which was done jointly between the IURC Asia and Australasia program and the IURC Latin America program. And that's been opened really since the beginning of July and will be closing on the 31st of August. For North American cities, the link is here. And again, this will be open until the 31st of August. The selection criteria, in the last probably 2 or 3 weeks, many of the calls that we've had is how do we build a solid application to be able to meet most of the selection criteria. And I can tell you that this is an open call. There are no preconditions or pre-selections that have been done. It'll be done on a fully merit basis. There'll be 2 selectors, myself and another selector that will be going through independently and scoring. And then what we'll do is make the selection based on those independent assessments. But the main focus on the selection criteria and the advice I can give you is, of course, the strength of the actual proposal itself and its benefits are important, and the alignment to our 4 thematic clusters are critically important. Sustainability after funding, I would strongly recommend that the project that you propose, or the area or the area that you want to work in, can continue to be able to be functional after any financing is completed. Which and how much of your own resources, including the strength of the team that we've put in place to be able to support the implementation of the cooperation framework, is important to us, and the commitment of the city and region, and also the partners that you bring to the cooperation as well. We focus very much on the triple or the quadruple helix, involving academia, the civil society, government, and of course the private sector. These are kind of important. So if you can demonstrate how these partners or stakeholders in your city and your region will participate, that's an important component of the proposal. And can the proposal or the action be achieved, especially within this time frame of the project? So we want to be able to look at both sustainability, and we also want to be able to see how capable is this to be able to continue after the fact. Now, as we mentioned before, the main entry points into this into the EUCG are the thematic the thematic clusters, and as such, the process will be, once the selection has been done, and we're anticipating up to 32 cities within the program, and that would basically mean approximately 16 European cities will be selected, 8 from the United States and 8 from Canada, mostly distributed across the 4 thematic clusters. And what, as I mentioned before, what makes us a little bit different is, instead of being immediately paired, the cities that are selected to operate within these thematic clusters will be placed in those thematic clusters and operate unpaired for 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 months. So you get an opportunity to be able to work with the other cities, the other 7 cities within your thematic cluster. And we anticipate having one in-person meeting over the next few months to be able to allow you to physically present what you do, what your city does well, and what your best practice are, and also to be able to meet and hear from other cities about what their focuses are. And then at some point in the future, we'll develop those I guess, working groups that will come out of normal cooperation that kind of allows us to be able to work on the implementation of the product that we're going to be doing. And primarily, that's focused around the actual study tours. So next slide, please. So how does the European Union Cities Gateway work? The cities primarily work within these thematic networks, the 4 that we've mentioned, to address common challenges, which form the basis of the cooperation. And the main area of our cooperation is built on these dynamic knowledge platforms, which include such things as webinars, masterclasses, and trainings, podcasts, discussion groups, and the like. We anticipate that we'll have bi-monthly meetings or bi-monthly presentations. And we selected bi-monthly instead of monthly based on the fact that most of the cities that we've connected with over the last few months don't want to be able to be overly absorbed into these thematic networks. So we're very conscious of the fact that you have regular day jobs, and we want to be able to make sure that we don't overburden you. But what really differentiates and really makes these programs really interesting are the actual exchanges and engagement that we'll do. As mentioned, once we've formed, or once you've been placed into a thematic cluster group, we'll have a meeting within the first maybe 3 or 4 months to be able to allow you to physically meet the other cities that are and regions that are in that thematic cluster. And in those we'll have that interaction. We either have another thematic cluster meeting that we'll plan maybe for 26 or 27, in which all of your cities that and regions within those thematic clusters will have a time to be able to interact. That probably be in 26, 27. The study visits are, I guess, the core area for how we engage, and that's based on a visit between you and your partners. There may be one partner, there may be 2 or 3. The hope is that what we'll do is, instead of having bilateral partnerships involving 2 cities, that we can have up to 4 cities cooperating. But that's going to be based on what do we see when we get the selection, and really what your impression is during those initial 4 or 5 months when we're doing unpaired cooperation. And you'll know how you want to, or what you recommend, how you want to be able to cooperate. Now, we also have the possibility of doing, or that we plan to be able to do participation in international events. Some of those events that have been done in the past include the Smart Cities Expo in Barcelona, the Open Days for the Committee of Regions and DG Regio. I think it's in October, usually, and other events. So the intention is that once a year, up to one person from your city will be able to participate in these programs. These programs are normally based in Europe, and that's where we look at kind of forming our cooperation framework. Now, that being said, there are other opportunities to be able to cooperate and other events that we will plan. We also have an expert which is focused on the economic, I guess, and the business development side of engagement within our 4 clusters as a horizontal activity. And we also have actions which may be related to the development of subnational diplomacy and some advice on subnational diplomacy. So we may try to be able to incorporate those aspects into other events, whether they be webinars or maybe even visits or something like that. Or an event sharing. So that's kind of what we're doing. This will evolve as we move. We're trying to be as dynamic as we can to be able to understand and include what you need to be able to get the best out of your cooperation framework, which you'll be working with these cities, and that's our intention. Next slide. So this is our final selling page. Why apply? And we hope you do apply. The more cities that we do participate in, the more active framework and the more active networks that we'll have. I will say before I get here, this I guess framework, which is based on these 32 cities that we're selecting right now, is one of the networks that we'll be looking at developing. We have other networks over the term of the project, which will run until the end of 2028, which we develop. Again, the more dynamic frameworks that we put in play, the more abilities that for these 32 cities to work in other areas outside of the thematic cluster will be available to you, but also to involve other cities maybe that are not selected, which is important, and also other cities that have been working in the past. So we will develop another network which will avail of other webinars and opportunities to be able to network and participate, but that will be happening towards the end of this year, and we'll reach out and inform as that is developed. But why should the cities apply? these networks of 32 cities are vibrant networks and will be vibrant networks, and we know that based on the experience of the IURC and the ICP and the Global Covenant of Mayors and the other programs which have been implemented over the last 10 years. We hope and anticipate that this will be as vibrant and dynamic as those have been. There is the access to funding and technical assistance for innovative urban solutions, and a mechanism to be able to work on common challenges, the ability to be able to meet with peers throughout the world, to be able to and develop those cooperative frameworks, which are critical in developing broader networks into the future. The benefit of tailored study visits and training and knowledge sharing is critically important, and showcasing your city's leadership as well. And by working on this thematic cluster framework, we hope that engagement on a broader context in an area where you're all cooperating over and above the working group that you'll be working within will create more creative juices, and allow the ability to be able to come up with broader solutions, just more than the solutions that you have looked at, I guess, cooperating in your application. So the hope is for a broader framework, and we'll try to be able to support that development of that broader network. And most importantly, I think, influencing global urban policy through this EU-supported city diplomacy. So that's the program. I think I've already given most of you my speech in the past, but again, what we'd like to be able to do is move on and open this up to questions in a few minutes, to allow you to ask the questions that you need answered, to be able to allow for us to be able to answer those questions and be able to get the best application possible. And that being said, going forward, we only have a few days before the close on the 31st of August of this call. We are available, myself and the team, to be able to support you in putting your application in a timely basis. Please do get it in before the close of or I guess midnight on the 31st of August, wherever your midnight is. And we look forward to potentially working with you. We'll most likely, we're aiming to be able to get some kind of communication out to you, whether it's positive or in the event that you've not been selected, the next possibilities or other possibilities that will come out of our cooperation. But we hope to get you something by the week of the 15th, or at the very latest, the week of the 22nd of September. So we're trying to move as fast as we can to get cities onboarded so that we can move forward on the development and the implementation of the program. So thank you very much. And I stand by to answer any questions that you've got now. And again, please do send me an email if I can do anything to be able to help you to be able to develop your application.
So maybe, Alex, you can stop sharing the screen, and maybe, Colin, you can just drop also your email in the chat, just in case somebody doesn't have it yet and would like to contact you. And yeah, I see no questions so far, I have to say. Don't be so shy. You can use the chat, obviously, to raise your hand, to ask a question if you prefer not to show with camera, but you're also invited to just raise your hand and take the floor and ask Colin directly. Obviously, this is an opportunity. It's the last chance to ask questions before the deadline. We have less than a week, so go ahead. And I see, yes, somebody broke the ice. Thank you so much, Fiola, or Adrienne Fiola. I'm going to read the question to you, Colin. For the thematic network clusters, our clear first choice is circular economy, as this is directly linked to our flagship project and Eco Park. We would like to confirm whether we are also expected to describe a project for our second choice cluster, or if it is sufficient to focus only on our top priority.
That is absolutely and totally up to you. Again, it might be advisable to have a secondary option, because again, we will only have so many cities and regions that we can fit into our clusters, and again, we may have other clusters which may not be filled up. So it might be that a second option might be useful. But again, that's fully up to you. but please spend the time on completing a very competitive application based on your first choice. That should be your first option, or your most important focus.
And Simon asked a similar question, or maybe like a follow-up question. We have a lot of interesting programs and would like to apply for more than one. Can we apply to two? I guess she means thematic clusters, yeah.
Absolutely, but I will say that this primary 32 city I guess network that we're developing right now, based on this call for city applications, is the first network that we'll develop. We will develop another network which is based on, I guess, less active engagement and won't have as many study tours and events that are connected to it, but they will be heavy on our knowledge-based product and distributing those things, as well as providing the support across the other areas that you might want to work in, so that it's broader. It may be connected to our other sister projects, but again, that's up to how we develop this, and it's based on what your need will be. We'll be reaching out probably towards the end of the year in November, December, to be able to find any to really dive into what you need and how you want these networks to work more effectively. So that's kind of where we are, if that makes sense.
Okay, we have another question from Lisa. I think it's very specific. Let's see if you can answer it now, Colin. I think if not, you can also have a call with Lisa afterwards. Question for the application part F21. We are an Article 11 city. What do you expect the brief description to look like? Lisa is from Düsseldorf, so she's in the European form.
Again, Lisa, if we could have a specific call on that, and then I'd be able to answer specifically what you need. And if I don't have the answer for you, then I'll find out. But it relates to the fact that you're an Article 22 city. Is that correct?
Do you want to take the floor, Lisa? Do you want to explain maybe?
Yes, no problem. It's the Article 11 city, and it's linked to the EDRF funding. So I'm not quite sure. We can click yes or no, and we are in Article 11, so we would click yes. And then it asks for a brief description, but I'm not quite sure what is expected to
okay.
There.
Lisa, I'll look into that, and I'll get back to you. I've got your email address with me, so what I'll do is give me a couple of hours, and I'll get back to you with an answer, okay?
That's great. Thank you.
Super, Lisa. And
what we can also do, Colin, we can put this this answer in the email we share with everybody, because maybe there's another applicant that is also, that may have the same question. So we share obviously also the answers with everybody, so you have the same information. I don't see any other questions right now, or other hands up. Maybe one question that was raised last time, which I think is important to underline, this is why I may bring it up myself again to Colin, is somebody asked us whether cities and regions could apply. And maybe you can explain that part again, Colin, that it's not only cities, it's also regions.
The program is open to both cities and regions. So that, again, they're fully open. We have maybe 6 or 7 regions that have reached out and are very interested in cooperating. So please do, if you are a region, it is open for you. The call is open for you. And if you have any specific issues with respect to how you submit, please contact me directly. I put my email into the chat, and please reach out to me directly, and I'll get back to you within a few hours.
Great. I don't know if somebody already knows if they're going to apply. Would you like to share maybe in the chat who's sure to apply? Do you want to share that already? Like, do we get a mood meter here? Who feels encouraged to apply after the information? I think we already received 4 applications for North America so far before even this webinar. But yeah, you don't have to, huh? Yeah, exactly. Virginia has already submitted an application. That I've seen that. I think two or three cities from Canada have also submitted already their applications, and several from Europe also in the European call. Great, Texas is applying. That's very encouraging. Great. And Lisa asked again for the expected date for the result communication. I only understood 22nd, but not which month. Obviously in September, Lisa. This is a program that should start straight away. We hope even to have the result in the first half of September, but I think at the very latest is the 22nd. And I can also tell you what the next steps. Once we will have the city selected, we'll definitely organize a few onboarding webinars with the cities, and it will start actually quite fast, but it will start online first, and then later on the first on-site meetings. Wow, Stuttgart is, oh, I'm so happy. You know, my German friends, since I'm German myself, I'm really happy that Germany is also represented. Great. And good to see that you feel encouraged after these calls. I don't know, Colin, do you want to add anything else? Any advice you can give for the cities who are here now? What will be important, like what they should pay attention to when they fill in the forms? Anything? Some final advice?
If I can add, due to the fact that this is a cooperation framework, highlight what you bring to the table, and that's really, really important, as well as what you need to be able, or what's your challenge that you're facing. So it's a little bit of both. On the one side, to be able to outline in your proposal what you see as you're being. Hello.
Yeah, your image is frozen, but we can hear you well. Huh? So just continue.
Okay, great. Yeah. So that's the important bit. It's not just about what you need to receive, but it's also what you bring to the table. So if you can highlight your best practice, and again, the best practice may not just be specifically within the thematic cluster that you're applying for, but in other areas, because again, when we talk about innovative living spaces, for example, in the housing or affordable and attainable housing thematic cluster, that leads to a lot of possibilities, you know, and overlap between the other thematic clusters as well. So circular economy, of course, can be a component of that. Digitalization can be a component of that. So please do, when you're outlining the things that you're really proud about, your best practice within your city, that you highlight these things. And again, it's important to be able to include a strategy, your urban strategy, so that we can review that. It's very important that we see that the challenge that you're facing fits within a wider kind of strategic plan that your city has developed. And that's kind of important to be able to demonstrate continuity. It also helps to be able to demonstrate sustainability, because it's something on a wider context that your city is interested in. And it also demonstrates the elements of that commitment. So that may be important as well. And that's kind of the main that I would say. Again, whatever you can do to be able to transmit to us why you're interested and what you want to get out of this, that's important. And that's just the basis of this application, I think.
There is a follow-up or a question that relates to that from Denver of the city of Portland. He asked whether it is a disadvantage if a city has not participated in the dozen EU or international funded programs listed on page 6 in the application form. The city of Portland has been involved in one, but is part of half a dozen other international peer networks focused on sustainability and climate goals. Yeah, and that's a very good point. Maybe you can also explain a little bit more on this one.
Really, what we're looking for in participation in past programs, EU-funded programs, is really to demonstrate the commitment of the city to be able to, and the ability of the city to be able to participate in these international programs. So if you haven't, it really doesn't disadvantage you, but please do go into as much detail as you can on what you have done within these international frameworks, and how and what you've gotten out of them, and why. And what's your real intent or your driver in participating in this program? So it's it's totally and absolutely valid, and please do add it, and I'm sure that it will be fine.
And one of the networks that we are very close to is actually the Global Covenant of Mayors. This is a bit of like our sister network, or we're very in very close contact with them. We support each other. So EUCG is also in a way, a baby out of that, together with the IURC predecessor program. I don't see any other questions or doubts. Maybe I can just share on a very personal note, because I've been involved in international city-to-city cooperation since I started my professional career. The first job I had was actually with the Balkans back then, in that beginning of the year 2000. So even after the war in the former Yugoslavia, and we organized, like my first job was in an NGO that supported city-to-city cooperation within Europe and the Balkans. And from then onwards, I've never stopped doing it. And I can tell you, I was always impressed to see we all have the common challenges. It doesn't actually matter where we are. It doesn't even matter if we're a post-war city or like a more developed city. We all have challenges. And I think the thematic clusters that we've chosen for EUCG reflect those current challenges a lot. And I think you have nothing to lose. You can only gain new contacts, new knowledge, new friendships, hopefully as well. And I can really recommend it from the heart, that these kind of opportunities is just really a present from the EU. I'm super grateful that these programs exist, and I think I really look forward to working with some of you in these 3 years to come, because I think we'll learn a lot, all of us. So if there are no other questions and no other doubts, let's keep in touch in these upcoming days. You can even text us on a very short notice in an email if you have a quick doubt. If you're filling in the application form and something is not working, don't hesitate to reach out. We're all available these days. We have an eye on our email and our phone. I will share tomorrow morning the recordings and the presentations of today. So you have all the information you need with all the links. And we look forward to all your applications in the upcoming days. And I think we can officially close this webinar if there are no other doubts so far. And I just see one line of how large are teams from each city? I think that depends. I just saw a last question flying in, too late almost. Colin, do you want to answer still? How large are teams from each city? I just saw that now when I was closing.
Again, these teams, that's up to you. Normally, it's important to be able to include partners in academia, in the private sector, and civil society. I've seen the overall teams to be as big as 12, 14 people. But really, what's really important is to be able to ensure the main contact point, the individual that is going to be the main face of interaction between the cities and the program. First of all, it's important that they speak English. English is the language of engagement, and writes well. But more importantly, that person is consistent and constant and shouldn't change. And then you have other floaters or other stakeholders that kind of support the action as is required, and that's really what's important. So it can be up to 3. I know that with respect to the study tours, we normally finance, or the EU will normally finance, between 2 or 3 participants. So really, that's important that you maybe have a core team that really kind of will be the basis of engagement, both supporting your partner cities or regions, and also interacting with the team with your working group on a bi-monthly basis, and again with respect to these study tours and thematic cluster visits and that kind of stuff. So it's important that you have a core team supplemented by a much broader kind of supplementary team that draws in your stakeholders.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying this. We just jumped in after I closed already officially, but yeah, I think this was important to add, and it was still in the chat. So thank you very much for this additional answer, and yeah, have a great rest of the day, afternoon, evening, whatever your time zone is. We look forward to your applications, and we can officially close now. And I think we can still stay on a little bit in the line, Colin and our colleagues, but I close now officially and I stop the recording.
Okay.